So welcome everyone. What a great day it is today to be at the Businesswomen Australia Buzz Magazine reveal, the mighty reveal. We have an amazing magazine that we're, for the first time today, bringing out for 2023, the showcasing of all our knowledge experts and our thought leaders who have spent time and effort to bring their contributions to our magazine and our readers. So it's wonderful to be able to celebrate this launch today. And thanks everyone for taking the time out to be here. And let's go back. Our website, we have our past issues up there as well. So we do this every year. And let's go. Oh, start from the beginning. Here we go. Oh, you can see I got through to there to make sure it all. Right. Here we are. Our BWA Buzz Magazine 2023. You will find it in our Buzz Magazine tab, and you will be able to find it up there. So the Buzz. When you click on that, you'll get the option to click on whichever of the past or current issues you're keen on. So let's go through. First and foremost, of course, I'd like to acknowledge the country in which we're all coming in and meeting today. So I'm on the beautiful land of the Noongar Nation, the Whadjuk people. I'd like to pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Our contributors all around the country, we're all very respectful of the importance of recognising our First Nations people who have lived, danced and celebrated on this country, in some parts of this country, for 60 to 120,000 years. So absolutely pay our respects. Really important time. And of course, for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to hear the most recent chat or the podcast that Leanne and Cara Galanti have done on the referendum, I think it's definitely worth listening to. Also the webinar that we had, which was very interactive. So you'll find those on our recordings. Of course, a little chat from me, but what I'd like to do is really acknowledge all the work that Leanne Jeffrey and Kathy Smith and the team at CatCo have done in the management of this and the being able to bring this production to us. It takes a lot of time and effort, just coordinating people, actually bringing, checking all the work, making sure it's all okay, as well as all the contributors, of course, who have actually spent all this time bringing your articles. Some of you have had to put that through your governance teams. Some of you have, rewritten bits and pieces and had ideas and thoughts as you've gone along the way, but it's been an incredible opportunity, I think, to bring all the power of everyone together. And of course, I'd also like to really shout out to the lovely Claudette Pope. Claudette is one of our community members over here in WA, and volunteered to do our sort of really deep editing. She's a book publisher. Claudette, are you on the call?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw you coming in.
I'm here.
Fantastic. Thanks, Claudette. We really appreciate the time and effort. And I'd as a result, I'd like to offer you for the thanks, because I know you spent 15 hours or more going through, looking at everything and making sure everything was correct. I'd like to offer you a 12 months edition classic membership for you, so that you can continue to jump onto whatever it is you'd like to do and be a part of the community in a much more meaningful way. We really do appreciate your time and effort. So thanks very much, Claudette.
Thank you. I
Leanne,
really appreciate it.
Yeah, Leanne will sort that out. We love having you involved in our Cheese and Chats over here as well. You're such an important member of our community. So it's just wonderful to have that time that you've given us. And of course, the design and the production, the team at CatCo under Kathy Smith's incredible management when the time and the effort that it takes to lay out this and then to make all the changes as all the edits come in really is phenomenal. So thank you so much, Kathy Smith. It really is amazing. So the first one, your leadership shadow. So Jessica, can I throw over to you and can you talk a little bit about this? Because we have our amazing masterclass coming up on the 20th of September. So a little plug for that for those who are interested in this. But Jessica, over to you.
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone. Always exciting to see Buzz being launched again, one of my most favorite magazines. And I just actually flipped through all the pages and earmarked the ones that I want to read, which is most of them. The leadership shadow was a topic that I chose this year. And as you know, leadership is very close to my heart. I was actually really inspired when I read your foreword, Aline, when you said, you know, it's been a real big year of learning and you are a forever learner anyway. And for me, leadership is just a focus of mine, personally, and also, of course, professionally. Leadership shadow is something that actually has been required and asked for by a lot of my clients. It started with a workshop that I did in WA, one of my associate coaches facilitate over there. And ever since, people are asking me and knocking on my door and saying, just this leadership shadow thing, what is this? And we need to do this better. So leadership shadow is that we as leaders, everything we do, we say, how we make decisions, how we interact, how we show up has a direct impact on how people around us demonstrate their behaviors and how they interact with other people and how they get things done as well. It's almost like you're creating a shadow that casts across the organization and creates the culture we want and have. And what I find is that a lot of leaders are not aware of the shadow they're casting, what their shadow is, and they don't have the tools to be able to actually create the shadow they really want. So it's very much based on, you see the leadership shadow model here, that was originally designed by Goldman Sachs, and I've just amended it a little bit to make it really practical. And the workshop is for anyone who interacts with other people in your own business, with your stakeholders, with your own clients, is to be able to learn a little bit more about what does the leadership shadow actually mean, but really interactively creating some awareness around what does your leadership shadow look like right now. Yeah, if I was to give you feedback or someone gives you feedback, you know, how do you show up? And then with the help of other people, and that's where, you know, we get people, of course, into breakout rooms and work on this, create the leadership shadow you want. So what would you like to or need to change so you can cast and create the shadow that's really required to create the culture that you want? And I really love cultures where people are happy and productive. But we'll workshop this all out because we're not just going to talk about stuff. It's going to be really interactive. So I thought I'd pop an article in the magazine because it's just a really, really hot topic everywhere. And it's such a helpful tool and way of developing your leadership.
And who would you recommend would attend that workshop, Jessica? Do you need to be in a leadership position?
You don't necessarily need to be in a leadership position. Even emerging leaders who are looking at the way they create, you know, their own brand, have awareness of how they show up, because we don't need a reporting team to be able to create a leadership shadow. Yeah, we have impact on the people around us anyway. This even works for when you think about your parenting style, right? What's, you know, how are you demonstrating behaviors that, you know, is helpful for your children to adopt? Yeah, and again, we don't often think about that. Now, we're going to keep it professional and we're going to do this for the work world, but so many of these skills and approaches, of course, are transferable into private life. So for anyone who's interested in learning more about what leadership shadow means and being able to create one, but it's not just team leaders. Everyone who professionally works somewhere and wants to create some more awareness to be able to have impact.
Fantastic. And while we've got you, tell us a little bit about this disc flow certification. So we've got a page there advertising this, and we've been getting loads of inquiries through Businesswomen Australia now. So
yes, we just had two certified trainers sign up, and they're going through the online self-paced certification program. So DISC is a behavioral assessment, and it's the most used behavioral assessment in the world, and that's for a reason, because DISC is simple but not simplistic, and it's really easy to understand and gives people a practical insight into their natural behavior style. So what are your natural preferences of how you see the world, communicate, and want to approach work, make decisions, and so on and so forth. So what the DISC assessment and then the report does is it gives people a start of a conversation to be able to create some self-awareness of their natural style, but also then with those reports, when someone gets certified, so our certified trainers, and this is our job, we help them to be able to have resources and the skills to then create coaching sessions, team coaching sessions, and leadership development programs, even transformational programs, using DISC for certain learning outcomes. And it's all around being able to increase engagement in organizations, build high performance teams, and so on and so forth. But the DISC report is, when you ask someone, so how do you work? What are your strengths? It's really hard for people to get the insight, but also being able to put that into narrative form, right? So the DISC report is really, because it's based on a self-assessment, is really great to just have a narrative to understand, here's how I see the world, and here's how I like to work. And now I can use this to be able to actually adjust my own style using emotional intelligence to be able to meet other people where they're at. And organizations and teams using DISC in their workshops and leadership leadership programs definitely see an outcome, because right after the workshop, people can make changes in the workplace because it's so practical and so simple. Do you need to know anything else, modalities and how it all works? So just I'll just touch on that. When you do the when you get certified as a trainer, you obviously are going to be able to use the reports, get the assessments, and so on and so forth. And the certification is either a self-paced online course, 2 half days live online, so using Zoom, or a full day, and we've got one coming up in Melbourne. We've just done one in Sydney, but there's 3 modalities as well, but it'll all be explained on the BWA website when you go to DISC certification. So it's a really good way of putting something else under your belt when you're a trainer, consultant, or you work with people in-house.
So that there, if we jump on there, it takes you straight to all the different information, the signing up and what have you. So that's great. Thanks, Jess. That's really good. And anyone who's got any questions about it, flick it through to me or Jess or to Leanne. That'd be great. So over to Joanne Bradbury. So Joanne, your article is on staying on trend in the wine industry. Have we got Jo? Pretty sure I saw her come online. We might come back to her later on. Jo, when you're able to join us, just give us hop into the chat box. But it's a great insight into sort of a lot of the things that are really on trend in the wine industry, and particularly around sustainability and getting a bit of an insight into the sorts of things that Jo's navigating as an owner of 3 Drops, or as a co-owner of 3 Drops. So we love 3 Drops Wine, and we really are grateful of all the great events that Jo hosts. Over to Kathy Smith. How is AI transforming your marketing?
Hey everybody, obviously AI is the very hot topic at the moment. It's come to us with an vengeance. And the biggest thing is we need to remember that it is a tool and it's not a replacement. And that's where I think a lot of people are going wrong. They're not amplifying their own voice and what they're doing. They're trying to shortcut the process and make the AI do everything. Yes, it can learn, but it's very clear to see when something's been written by AI if you've got a little bit of knowledge to see it. So making sure that you do keep the human element is what's going to really transform using AI in your marketing. So it's great for doing market research. It's great for ideas. It's great for checking spelling and getting grammar flow, those sort of things. But it does also have what they call hallucinations, which is when it puts bits and pieces together that may or may not be true. So you need to really make sure that you are fact-finding, checking the facts, and use it as it's designed to be a tool as opposed to trying to replace yourself. It's great to amplify some of your business processes as well. So if you've got people doing content for you, it can really speed that up. But the big trap is to make sure that it actually sounds like you.
And have you got a favourite AI kind of platform that you're sort of leaning towards at the moment?
They all run off the open AI platform. So ChatGPT is the biggest one. There are different ones depending on different industries. But if you haven't already started, start with ChatGPT, and particularly the paid version, and then go from there. There is a whole raft of them starting from very low price to really expensive when they're running their own systems and their own servers. And the reason they're doing that is AI is learning. It's a generative AI. So what you put in, it learns. So what some people are doing, and particularly with privacy, is they're running it on their own systems so that it doesn't then put that out into the public realm. So like anything with any of the technologies, social media, etc., remember that whatever you put into it is learning. So if it's not something you want in the public realm, don't put it into AI.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I'm sure Katrina's probably got a few things to add to that too, which we will get to shortly. But over to Vida. So Vida, your article this year was around emotional mastery, unlocking emotional regulation for personal and professional growth, which is just kind of underlines a lot of our themes with Cheese and Chats, doesn't it? Do you want to unmute?
Yeah, it does, definitely. It's like, emotional mastery is a key to freedom, a key to be our most genuine selves and to relate to others as we really are, instead of how we're programmed to be or how we're conditioned to be. I mean, when we're reactionary, we have disproportionate responses to situations. Like someone pulls out in front of us in traffic and we start, screaming or shouting abuse at them, and all of a sudden we have a physical response. The heart rate gets faster, our blood pressure goes up, our mind gets foggy, and the whole day is sort of discombobulated just because we overreacted to one minor situation. And when we are reactionary, we're not there. We're not experiencing what's unfolding in the moment. We're not connected to the circumstances that we're in. We're somewhere else, and we're somewhere else in the past. For something to become automated, it has to occur lots of times, lots and lots of times. And our brain loves picking up stimuli and giving it a predictable response. So, say, for example, as a child, you put your hand on a hot plate, you burn your hand, you learn straight away not to do that, right? But if as a child, for example, if you were doing a presentation and you got negative feedback, you may go through life fearful of doing a presentation or having a nervous reaction or getting angry or making excuses. And over time, this all just becomes automatic behaviors that we have no consciousness about, no awareness about how we're interacting with others, how we're speaking to others, how we're performing for ourselves. So, becoming more masterful over our own emotions and the way we behave, the way we think, and the way we feel gives us freedom to be who we are. And I think one of the most important things about emotional mastery is it's not complicated. I think in today's busy, active, complex world, we can easily overcomplicate things. Like, our brain likes to complicate things. It stands in the way of simplicity. Just taking a breath and pausing has mammoth effects. It helps us to just calm down our body, move from a sympathetic nervous system to a parasympathetic, go from flight to fight to rest and digest. And it's only in those moments when we're a little bit quieter can we start to begin to see what's real, what's the truth of who we are, how we're reacting, how do we really feel. When we're busy moving, when we're busy reacting, we have no idea as to what is really going on in that moment. And I think it's really easy for us to learn, to be in this learning mode instead of being in this being mode. It's really easy for us to be busy, to move from one thing to the next thing without a gap, without any awareness of what is really going on. So instead of responding to life from a really genuine, authentic place, we are reacting to circumstances based on our past experiences that don't even exist right now in the moment. To me, I think that's a real discombobulation when we're not even here. And it's so simple, but it's so profound. Like, just think of your day. How many times are you not really here? How many times are you not responding from all your awareness and all your presence and all your brilliance, your emotional, your intuitive, your physical, your mental intelligences? Instead, we're just responding from a behavior that's from the past and not today.
So this is fantastic that you've done this article, because it really does give us that reminder about the power of breath and the power of stopping and being still. And for those of you who are lucky enough to be in and around the Inglewood area or in WA, Vida hosts Cheese and Chats. The next one, I think, is the 4th of October. Yep. You'll find that in our calendar. I was looking for it thinking it's not in my calendar, it's not in my app, because I'm still looking at my Eventbrite app, but we're slowly moving all our events across to Humantics. So it is there. It's in our calendar. So, and I think there's still some places available. So if you actually are listening in, if you're actually in Perth, it's really worth coming along, because we do connect with each other at a very deeper level, and we do a lot of self-work that's facilitated through Vida's sort of form of providing this opportunity, which is a really safe space where we are holding space to really actually take that time out to be still and to contemplate things. I think what's our next topic? Navigating soft power.
Soft power, yeah.
Soft power. So that's a great topic. So jump onto the calendar on the Business Women Australia website, and it'll take you through to the right place to register for that, or find it on Humantics. It'd be great for everyone to follow us on Humantics. I think Leanne and the team are bringing everything across to Humantics so that we actually are supporting the great work that they're doing as well. So thanks, Vida. That's awesome. Okay, our next article is cybersecurity, a crucial skill for business success. Kate, over to you.
Thanks, Lynn. And I suppose, I started the article by saying we won the title of the most hacked nation at the end of 22. Wasn't the gold medal that we were after, but we have it. And unfortunately, it has continued as the year has gone out, 2023. Latitude and Optus and Medibank has highlighted that Australia is under attack, and we've been sleeping at the wheel, really. The government has come out and said that they propose to change things, and that the goal is to be the most secure nation by 2030. Very, very great goal to go for, but a lot in the cybersecurity industry feel that it's not achievable with the way that we're doing things. And what I wrote in this article is what I'm seeing with my customers that I work with. And it's basically that we need to focus more on the human element, which is training people how to identify these risks. But what I'm also seeing is that we need to create a safe space for people to speak up when they've made a mistake. Generally, and I'm generalizing here, and I've come from an IT background, IT and cyber people normally are not that approachable. And that is part of the challenge that organizations are facing right now. People don't want to go and speak to the IT or the cyber team because they're afraid of being reprimanded, or they're being afraid to spoke to in language that they don't understand. And that's part of the challenge that organizations are facing right now. So I think it's really important for all businesses to foster that safe environment, so that if somebody does click on a link, or they've been part of a breach, or they've done something by mistake, that you are not going to get reprimanded. There's a bit of a trend in the industry at the moment around simulated phishing. So simulated phishing is where they send out fake emails to see who will click on them, and then offer remedial or additional training. And some organizations are taking in a policy that if you click once on the email, you get additional training. You click twice, you get a written warning, and you click 3 times, you will lose your job. And I've heard of people actually losing their job for clicking on simulated phishing. And I am dead against it. I think that is not going to help us change the culture in organizations. And I think this is the area that we need to focus on. We do know that cyber criminals, Kathy spoke about AI, and it's quite funny that with all the positives that AI brings, it opens up a huge area of risk to organizations as well. There is the privacy concerns, but also it's now giving hackers and cyber criminals the ability to craft very, very convincing emails that people are clicking on. And we've seen in the last quarter the wave of these targeted incidents coming using AI. Even cybersecurity professionals struggle to identify them. So there was a conference a couple of weeks ago in Perth here. It's known as the Cybersecurity Hacker Conference. It's called BSides. There was an awesome presentation given by a company called Hyperfire by their CEO on the risks of AI and why we need to be very cautious about what we put into it and the information that we're giving it. They're all on YouTube if anybody wants to go and watch it. It's called BSides Perth. But I think we all need to upskill ourselves. It's part of doing business now, and we can no longer neglect the risks, unfortunately, that our businesses are facing. We're losing huge amount of money this year alone, even in scams on individuals. It's up on billions now that Australians are losing. And we all know of somebody that has been impacted in some way, shape or form. On Monday, we're going to do a podcast with LJ on the mental health impacts of cybersecurity. And I think that's another critical component to it that we're not really thinking about, is how does organizations and owners deal with the impact of potentially going out of business after a cyber incident, and also the impact that it has on staff as well. So it's another huge area that just we have neglected for some time, but hopefully it's opened up some areas for discussion and people find the article useful.
Thanks so much, Katrina. Leanne, so we can find that podcast through either iTunes, Spotify, or you can subscribe on our LinkedIn. So it'll be streamed across all our channels and on YouTube as well. Is that right? Yep. So across all our channels. So this is great. Thanks a lot. I'm going to be really looking forward to that. I hadn't even thought about that aspect of these issues and the mental anguish that must go hand in hand with when things go wrong. So thanks a lot for bringing that to our attention. I'll look forward to hearing your ideas on that and how we can support people. Okay, over to Dr. Paula Smith, how to remember. So I don't think we've got Paula on today. I think she might be running a presentation workshop. She is, of course, a leader in the space of training for presentations. For those of you who want to be able to be brilliant at speaking or improve your pitching skills, what have you, keep an eye on what Paula's offering in her space. There's quite a few of us who have been through her training. And she's looked at sort of 3 important processes around encoding, storage, and retrieval in terms of improving your memory. It's a really interesting little short article, but definitely worth the read. And of course, we've got Setting Up for Success with Marie Gooch, who there's no one better than to share her insights into using SMART goals and how she's used that in her business. I think we've actually got Anne-Marie O'Callaghan on the call. Yes, we have. We'll come to you when we get to your article, Anne-Marie. But Anne-Marie and Marie Gooch are actually partners in a business called Value Creators, and they have worked very successfully using these amazing tools to be able to be very focused and clear about their objectives and sticking to the plan and achieving it. They absolutely walk the talk. Always keen on new members, so we love you to bring along some guests, tell people about what's coming up, invite them to come with you to things. So always looking for new members. Leading with Numbers, Natasha Lee from LG Accounting Solutions, who will be hosting an event coming up with our panel looking at critical issues in WA. Tash, over to you. Why, of course, I shouldn't say why is it important to be leading with numbers, but you tell us why you think it is.
It's thanks, Lynn. It's so important to understand your numbers, and what we find is that a number of new clients that come to us, and even some of our existing clients, don't understand their numbers well enough, which means then they're not able to make informed decisions and to be able to help their team to navigate and have that difficult conversation that is backed up by fact and by numbers. So yeah, this is why it is just so important that we are helping our clients to understand numbers and just to improve that financial literacy amongst our people so they can actually make informed decisions and help their team. So really, really important to be able to use them and to be able to use them in the right manner.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly stress the importance of that. And the numbers don't have an opinion. They take all the emotion out of it.
They do. You're relying on fact, you're relying on data, and you're not relying on an opinion or an emotion to make those hard and difficult conversations.
So it sort of reminds me we probably should be starting to think about another maybe online webinar around those basics of financial literacy in business.
Yes, so important, definitely.
We'll bring that up, but between now and on the 7th of September, we're going to be hosted in your boardroom and really unpacking some of those issues that are facing WA businesses as well. So if these sort of sound like topics, if you're coming from interstate and you're thinking these would be great topics to run or host in your state, or if you'd like to open your boardroom to host something, just let us know. Of course, we've got Kathy's fantastic podcast, and I'd just like to say congratulations to Kathy Smith here, the Small Business Talk podcast. You have you achieved your 200 episode milestone this year.
Certainly did. So my very first episode was in February 2019, and it was with a Businesswomen Australia panelist, and it was with Pauline Bright, and we did How to Fall in Love with Your Business, because we started on Valentine's Day. And little did we know that some years later, with a few things changing in between, we did end up with our 200th. So tomorrow we will have 206 go live. So it's lots of wealth of knowledge there from both myself and all our variety of guests. And if you'd like to be a guest, feel free to jump on the booking page and add your wisdom to our collection.
Fantastic. What an incredible achievement. Your dedication. I've watched you. I've travelled with you and I've been in places where you've just gone, right, I'm taking myself away. I've got my commitment to this podcast, and you've just been incredible in terms of achieving that milestone. Well done, Kathy, and bringing the voices of small business and sharing their knowledge and expertise across that platform. Well done to you. That's fantastic. And of course, we've got our Businesswomen Australia podcast that Leanne has now got off the ground. It's our very own branded one. We have been for years collaborating with Anne-Marie Cross, of course, with our fantastic BWA and the Ambitious Entrepreneur podcast, but we also now have the Business Women Australia podcast show. So Leanne, do you want to tell us a little bit about the podcast show?
Yes, I've had some really great response. We've got our members coming in, and I always like to say that I work with a lot of people who are smarter than me. So I've got this podcast coming in. As you can see, I've talked to Kyra Galanti on the Voice to Parliament. We've had Marie Gooch with all of her infinite wisdom. Lynn, you introduced Marion, and Marion's also had a chat with Tash. And Lynn, you've spoken with Belinda. So we've actually had a really, really great mix of women coming along and sharing all the things that we need to know. And it's actually just really lovely to have so many women coming on and talking in the community. As you know, we've got Kate coming up. We've also booked in, we've got a few booked in and ready to come up. Climate Actions are coming up with Dr. Kate Ringvall. Bev Andrews is booked in with me. We've got Jodie Cottle and Dr. Sasha Fulton. So we've got a great lineup coming as well.
Well done, you. Good on you. That's what I love to hear. I love hearing these collaborations and the co-creation model. That's really shows what BWA is all about. If you've got an idea and you want to have a go at doing something, we're really keen to partner or to join people together, to partner together. So everyone's ideas are valuable. Anne-Marie, over to you. Anne-Marie O'Callaghan from Valley Creators, the power of mentorship and why you should have a mentor or be a mentor.
Yeah, hi Lynn, thanks very much, and hello to everyone else. Great to see the magazine out again, always an exciting occasion. Well done. So we thought we would, put in an article about mentoring, because often it's one of those things that we just assume might happen. But what we find is sometimes when you actually put a focus on it and some deliberate boundaries around it, so make it formal, because we may have always had more informal experiences with mentoring. What we liked, which is great, we also like the opportunity to actually put a formal mentor in place. So we do build mentoring into all of our programs that we deliver. And what we often find is that it is those more personal one-on-one moments when often the real insights occur and that opportunity, the light bulbs go off, and the opportunity for that transformational change can happen in those more intimate, personal, in-depth one-on-one occasions. The other thing that we always think that's important is it's not just about, finding the right fit for a mentor for you, but it's actually giving it a go to be a mentor. And we've found that I certainly find that I get just as much out of being the mentor as the people that I'm working with. So we're currently working with a program that's a national program called the Boosting Female Founders Program. And we're listed as a national provider of mentoring on that. It's a pro bono program. And it's amazing to, you don't know what you're going to get when you get matched up on this national program. So it's amazing to be connected with this national eclectic sort of group of female entrepreneurs and business founders. And I'm always at first thinking, oh my golly, how am I going to be a mentor for this amazing female founder who's doing all sorts of incredible things? But I think with mentoring, and I mention this because I think what is important is to be a good mentor, we don't have to know all the detail of the business of the person that we're mentoring. What we need to be able to do is get them to reach their conclusions through their own knowledge and their own desire for change. And it is really about actually talking through some opportunities or options and being a real platform for supporting them and elevating them so that they can go forward and be the best version of themselves that they can be, which I think to touch on Jessica Schubert's point, it's that leadership shadow. And I think mentoring can actually really be an incredible opportunity to grow your own leadership shadow in a really positive way. So we do build it into all our programs, and we're also building up, Lynn, a great pool of mentors that we can go to. And we're giving new mentors, people who are really looking to, develop that skill set for themselves, a gentle entry-level opportunity so that people can, we support them. So people can feel, supported by getting started in a formal mentoring program. And that actually means that we're bringing in some new young mentors that have been in our programs. And then we say, hey, would you like to now be a mentor in the very program that you've been involved in? We're always looking for people who would like to mentor other young women. So if anyone in the BWA network, really wants to get involved, as I said, for me, I get just as much out of it as the people that we work with. It's a great skill.
That's a brilliant opportunity there. And there's a shout out. If you're interested in becoming a mentor, reach out to Anne-Marie. Perhaps you can you can find Anne-Marie on the directory, or Anne-Marie can put her contact details in the chat box as well. And what programs have you got coming up at the moment, Anne-Marie?
We've got the last 4 of our Women in STEM Jumpstart program. So this is a rural women's leadership program that we've been delivering over the last few years. So we're doing a bit of a state roadshow. We're off to the Goldfields, to Kalgoorlie in September, and then Kununurra in October, and Perth, and then Karratha in November. So we've already touched the lives of 120 young rural regional women in that program, and some not so young. It's technically, the program was targeting 18 to 35-year-old women living in the regions, or really wanting to get back to the regions and have a really fulfilling career or their own business. And we've got another 4 programs to go. So we'll have 200 at least or more rural regional women that have actually been quite empowered coming through that rural leadership program. And I was just talking to someone else this morning how gratifying it is to deliver that program, and just the joy it brings us to see the long-term, ongoing, enduring networks that it creates, which is really quite amazing.
That's brilliant. Look, the work you and Marie Gooch are doing in that space is really inspiring. And look, I believe last time I spoke to you, it had caught the attention of the Northern Territory government as well.
We took our farm business resilience program to the Northern Territory. So we designed the program in Western Australia to support the long-term transformational change and sustainability measures for rural, agribusinesses in WA, really around climate change and being prepared for drought rather than responsive and reactive to drought, being geared up for the, what might be long-term changes in climatic patterns, and getting ahead. So we then got invited to take that program to the Northern Territory, which was just tremendous and really an exciting opportunity. So we've finished that now, and are hoping to continue that in another capacity in Western Australia as well.
That's terrific. Well done, and congratulations to you both. And thank you for the article. You know how committed I am as a mentor. I'm exactly like you. I love getting my new mentees every year. They teach me so much. They keep me up to date. They write things when I do things that are wrong. But for those of you who might be interested in sharing your career journey, my mentee has asked me to pull a panel together for Friday the 29th of September at Uni Hall. So I'm looking for volunteers who might be interested in joining me on a panel. It's only going to be a small group. I think we're going to cap it at 20 young women that at various stages of their undergrad through to doctorate level that are at University Hall, most of them obviously being international students. and they're very interested, particularly in us, discussing how we've built our networks, how we've actually navigated our career, and to start sort of having an opportunity for Q&A. So if anyone on this call is interested and has the time available on the 29th of September, it'll start at 6 and go till 7:30, and we'll likely head out and have a meal afterwards. If anyone from interstate wants to fly in for that, I'd love to see you. But these are the great opportunities, and all the universities are looking for this kind of support. So even if you're not in Perth and you're thinking this would be lovely to do, approach one of the university houses and the residential colleges. They have these programs. They're trying to support their students, particularly the international students who don't have ready-made networks here. And they're really looking for how to navigate their business careers or their careers in their professions. And how to get opportunities as an international person who wants to stay in Australia. So lots of opportunities there. Our next article is Artificial Intelligence, the Advancement of Women in the Workplace. So there's a bit of a technology theme that's come through. And Catherine Leach is a lawyer, a family lawyer. She owns practice here in Perth, but also has a Melbourne-based team. Catherine has been a wonderful supporter and a great host of some of our events. She's a great speaker, both here and in Melbourne. So she's not on the call today, but you'll enjoy her insights. Also, an apology today is Marion Birchall. Marion, she's actually very experienced in strategy, innovation and change, and she's come out of very senior roles in corporate and in government, particularly in the IT space. And she's actually talked about the post-pandemic recovery. Are we there yet? And it's a great little insight from Marion. And for those of you who haven't connected to each other on LinkedIn, please do. This is our leadership network. These are the women who are leading the day-to-day business strategies and thought leadership that are really worth connecting to. This is our community, so make sure you reach out to each other. Jodie Cottle has shared why knowing your values and staying true to them is the key to unlocking business success. So Jodie's, I don't think I've got Jodie on the call either. Have I, Leanne? I've got a couple of Jodies, but not Jodie.
No, she's had to go out to a salon today.
Okay, so Jodie's very successful businesswoman in her own right, but she's basically got one of the leading franchises for Laser Clinics Australia, and she's written a book called The Pocket MBA. This little book is definitely worth checking out. She's quite the powerhouse, Jodie. So I suggest you actually get hold of that and let her know that you've read it, you're supporting her. I mean, one of the most important things about being a part of a community is supporting each other and sharing that. So if you do read Jodie's book, make sure you share it, make sure you tag her, let her know that you're actually helping promote her. We're your mates, not your market, but we're also kind of like a BD team for each other, helping each other boost our business development, boost the recognition that others have of what we're doing and the efforts that we're putting in to showcase and share knowledge and help others be successful. The fabulous Emma Gray, who's been hosting quite a few of our chats over in Sydney. So her article is Intuition as a Business Superpower, the Paradigm Shift in Leadership. So Emma's background as a clinical psychologist is that she's been working a lot with people across all aspects of life. And she's actually given some great insights in here around fostering empathy and emotional intelligence and how to enhance your intuitive abilities. So again, I suggest reach out to Emma. She can't be with us today either. I think she might be actually working in the clinic. So we have from here a little shout out there for Kathy Smith, who's actually you did the Fire Up coaching accreditation, and I believe, congratulations, you've actually got your diploma as well.
I have, and I was lucky enough to go to Melbourne 2 weeks ago to the graduation celebration. So Lynn and I did our certificate 4 in business coaching, personal and business coaching, but we did it during the pandemic. So we weren't able to graduate, unfortunately, even though we did make the milestone. So heading over to Melbourne 2 weeks ago to graduate for both the Certificate 4 and the diploma, and meet in person the lovely Kerry Nobes who's on the call, and some of the other people that we studied with, has just been sensational. And being able to then create that into a second business where I'm able to help coaches to not only have their passion after they graduate, but make it into a thriving and profitable business.
Fantastic. And you've actually shaped a lot of your sort of service development and delivery around the ideas that you've got as having this new skill set too. So you're also offering a marketing coaching group as well. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Because what a lot of people are finding is when they come out of corporate, somebody else has done the marketing for them in their previous lives, and now they're thrust into it. And yes, they can go and do the technology and go through the day-to-day, but sometimes they actually get caught in their own heads when they anticipate that the clients are going to come flooding in very quickly, and they don't. Sometimes they start to get into that little bit of a self-sabotage, a mind drama of, are they a good coach? They're a superb coach 9 times out of 10, because it's actually a different skill set. Running a business is different to what they've been trained in coaching. So we can help them with the day-to-day of how to do it, as well as those mind things about making sure that they're doing it sustainably, and as you've mentioned before, keeping their mental health really good.
Brilliant. I've been loving seeing how that's evolved in your business. So thanks, Kathy. And I know Sandra Robinson was keen to jump on the call, just running through to see if she was able to join us. I think we
Did come briefly, but she's just had to duck off, unfortunately.
Had to duck off. So building leadership capacity in organisations with staff shortage is such an important and hot topic. Certainly across the board, it seems across every profession, every sector, every industry, there's staff shortages. And Sandra's actually tackled that. She actually has an organisation called Skills Strategies International. They're a registered training organisation. They do all sorts of training across the board, from the Cert 3s and Cert 4s all the way through to diplomas. They're also doing some work in the leadership space. Check them out and make sure you connect to Sandra. And of course, we have a little focus on the wonderful space that Vida's created in Inglewood, the Inspiration Space, a place to be with consultation rooms and a lap studio for hire. And of course, Vida, you've got the infrared room. Tell us a little bit about the light therapy that you're doing there.
Well, we've got a full body infrared pod. So it's actually a beautiful experience. You just come in, lie down, relax, listen to beautiful music, and let the light do the healing for you. So, infrared light is becoming really quite popular. It was only about 5 years ago that was only really used by elite sports people or specialists in some way. So it's great for any skin disorders. It's great for beauty. The beauticians use it. It's great for any sort of inflammation, any word with an itis, arthritis, bursitis, psoriasis. Great for muscle recovery, pain, memory, mood swings. The list goes on and on and on. There's so much research going on about infrared light. There's thousands and thousands of them. And if you're interested in knowing more about infrared light therapy, it's actually called photobiomodulation. So it's fantastic. Love it.
Love it too. I've actually been in the pod and I've loved it. I do suffer a little bit with the creaky joints, and I've always found that if I've had even 20 minutes or whatever in there, and it's just incredible. Makes such a big difference. Thanks, Feeds. Helen Nan is a certified financial planner. She's actually hosting the 3 Drops wine night tonight with Joe. So she wasn't able to make it to both. She's actually written a great piece on the secret of your financial success, your money blueprint in terms of the way that we're programmed, and how we can actually be more mindful of those money stories that might be going through our minds, and being able to sort of tackle that. She's also given some tips on how to change your money blueprint. So really handy little practical article. And over to Kerry, psychologically safe workplaces, why are they vital?
Hi, everybody. It's great to see all these great little articles that we can go explore when we're done here. My article's on that psychologically safe workplace, and how do we engage our teams and make sure that people are bringing their full selves to your businesses and feeling really safe to offer those innovations, and also for the risk. So I was loving hearing, Kate, that in the IT, that you're seeing that too, that people need to be safe to say when they made that mistake and stand up and get something sorted rather than trying to brush it under the table. So I think in this space, a lot of work going with this, and it ties really beautifully into that emotional intelligence. And one of the things I've been really exploring of late is the Roche Martin Emotional Capital Report, which is going into the, breaking down what are the competencies in that emotional intelligence, because it's essentially that creates this psychologically safe space where people are in tune with their own self-awareness, but also what's going on with the people around them. So really important to me. It's a bit close to my heart, and I do a lot in education and in the health sectors, and it's really vital there to make sure that people can communicate and collaborate effectively. And so that's my bag.
That sounds like another great topic. We did a webinar on psychological safety. So for those of you who are interested in seeing some of our back recordings, they're all available on our website. And we'll do another topic on this, I think, too. It is certainly growing in interest and the recognition that it is so important. And it's a part of really the D&I, the diversity and inclusion strategies as well with businesses, is ensuring that we do have psychologically safe places that we're actually bringing, that are actually supporting our employees in. Jane Summer, good to see you here. Are you treating your finances like a toothache?
That's right. We'd like to highlight that sometimes, just like a toothache, sometimes we put off looking at our finances because it's just a little bit easy to say things like, my teeth aren't that special. My finances aren't that tricky, and it's easy for me to look after them myself. And I'll go and see someone once I've got a problem, rather than getting on top of it when we could actually stop that decay happening if there's a problem in our finances. So I actually looked at some research that was done, and the main reasons people don't seek out financial advice are actually very similar to why we don't go to the dentist. And what I found most interesting was I looked at really current research that had been done, and then I looked at how long has this sort of been correlated, and it actually goes back to about 10 years ago. People were saying the same thing about seeing the dentist and seeing the financial planner. So things like, everything's okay, I don't need to go. I know I'm guilty of that one when it comes to the dentist. I don't want to go and sit in that chair and have them poke around with those steely objects in my mouth. So we don't do that in financial planning, just in case you're wondering. No steely objects. But we might have a poke around on something that might feel a bit vulnerable. And so we completely understand that. And if you reach out to a planner, you want to make that connection. You want to trust the person you're talking to, and feel safe to be vulnerable with them about something that your finances are really important, one of those psychological building blocks of life. So we just want to take some care and make sure everyone's okay. And don't think that it's going to be too expensive, because it might actually be more expensive if you don't see someone, which I've also experienced on that side of the dentist by putting something off. And then thinking that, hey, my situation isn't that complex, I don't really need any help. A good planner is going to have a few tools and techniques to really look at your situation, and maybe be able to, because they're seeing a lot of people in similar situations, provide a little tweaks, provide some little hints around the outside that can just really streamline and make things really, really efficient.
Absolutely. And this is a topic very close to my heart, and I love the work you do, not just as a certified financial planner, but also outside work, you've got some really sneaky ways of building financial literacy into stories, right?
That's right. I've got my own genre of short story called evidence-based romance finance fiction, which is we know when people are being entertained, they're more likely to take the underlying messages in. So what we've done is taken some psychological studies that deal with people's emotions and feelings about money, and I've taken the crux or the lesson that we've learned from that psychological study and retold it in a fun little romance story. So they're about 500 or 600 words. They're up there on the website, and they're just a different way of looking at some of the things we know about when people are dealing with their finances. I know that I like to think of them as you're going out and having a cup of coffee and having a chat with a friend, and maybe they've got a new romance happening in their life, and that's terribly exciting. And so we're just going to have a little bit of a peek in and see how those people are traveling and what they're learning while they're enjoying the sparks of a new relationship, perhaps.
I love it. It's just classic. Can you pop that link to those stories into
Absolutely.
that box? Because I know for a fact that some of our ladies will love doing it and sharing it too with others in their family and their friendship groups, particularly you know, the young ones coming through that love a little bit of a romance read. That's great. So thank you for all that great work you do, and I'm looking forward to catching up and collaborating with you again in October. I think is it the 10th of October?
It's in the middle of the week, so let's have a double check.
It's not in my calendar yet, but it will be soon. But we're so thankful to Shadforth Financial Group for hosting our boardroom events. And Shane has been such a wonderful supporter of Businesswomen Australia over the years. It's been incredible, as we've also got over here in WA, Belinda Von Knoll. And of course, Catherine Dixon was the original person who introduced us when she was working with Shadforth Financial Group, and we were actually very fortunate to have them sponsor us pre-COVID. So it really has been a wonderful relationship that's grown over the years. Those of you who know Tracy Cooper, she's our Brisbane-based leader over there. 4 mistakes to avoid when leading change. She's one of our great change champions. She's been doing a lot of work supporting and coaching leaders who are going through change programs in their organizations, as well as helping teams actually map out how to have a successful change within their organization. She's away at the moment, so she's an apology. But again, another amazing woman to reach out to connect with, to organize, to have a chat, a Zoom meeting. You know, these are all the things you can do as members of Businesswomen Australia. You don't have to wait for us to have an event. You can actually reach out and have a Zoom intro as fellow members of Businesswomen Australia. That's what this is all about. And we do have Bev Andrews, I believe, on the call. Bev, Women as Change Makers. This has been a great topic that you've been running with really in a strong way, how women are changing the face of leadership. Tell us about your article.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks, ladies, for being on the line for so long as well. It's been quite an interesting session. So my background is very much in the change management element of business. And so there's a lot of my peers and colleagues who've spoken before me where we sort of embrace and work alongside. So I came across some information from the international, one of the international women forums around the way that our leadership has actually morphed into where we are at today, where we're more interactive and we're more adaptive in our leadership, which is actually making us stronger and more successful than our male counterparts. And it's just about really sort of understanding a bit about ourselves and the environment that we are leading in, and how to adapt our natural abilities to that environment to be able to lead and become a really strong change maker. And we naturally do as women, because we have a lot of the natural attributes that are around contributing in a workplace, as opposed to being very transactional and command and control. And the spin for me, when I was looking at changes, it's really critical as a leader in an organization, when you're leading business change, to be able to adapt to your audience, to be able to enable others to understand the changes and the impacts to them. And one of the things that as leaders, as women, we're very good at that. We're very good at harnessing that energy. We're very good at collaborating, and we're very good at bringing people together and contributing. So that was my sort of my focus, and I've been talking to and supporting the Project Management Institute over here in Western Australia. They have a women's chapter. So for anyone that's in small or large organizations where you actually do projects and business change, that's definitely the space I play in. And one of the things that Aspire offers is, besides the actual doing of the change, we do accreditations in change management. We run small workshops, but also we do our own form of change mentoring, because one of the challenges that we're finding for colleagues is that with the hybrid way of working now, we're not in the office as much, and so therefore we don't have as much opportunity to learn on the job. And then when we actually do come across with something that we go like, oh, could I have done that better? Could I have done that differently? Was that a missed opportunity? Our mentors or our leaders might not be available because it's their work from home time. So what we offer is short, sharp, small mentoring opportunities for people that are very much around the changes that they're facing into, and how do they talk that through, with not so much around me as the individual and my leadership style, but in a very pragmatic way. So very much focused on lots of different elements within the change management space.
Brilliant. It's such important work. And I think, most organisations really across any sector or profession are actually in constant evolution and change. And often it's reactive and they're responding to change rather than thinking about, okay, there's so much we can predict and so much we can plan for and so much we can manage. So Bev, you're bringing such important thinking and a reminder to all of us to be maybe thinking about our roles as change managers and as change makers, because, essentially in our roles we are. So thanks for that. It's a great article. I love it. I love these sort of 4 elements of interactive leadership: participation, people's sense of self-worth, sharing power and information. That really important part about information being powerful when it is shared. And then energizing followers and all that, some of the things that we've actually delved into together, Bev, in our sessions. We've really been able to unpack that, and we'll look forward to doing more on that going forward with another webinar and some more events as well. So
excellent. Thanks, Lynn.
That's really awesome. Anne-Marie Cross, our podcast queen, she actually has 4 tips to build a podcast audience. I don't know if Anne-Marie's on the call, though. I think she may be potentially running a podcast today. And what Anne-Marie has actually picked up is the piece around coaches and people who are in those coaching and consulting fields, and what they need to be doing in order to craft an experience that really does engage your ideal listener. So very neat little article there. Back to Kathy. Oh, Catherine Dixon. Yay, we finally got to Catherine Dixon.
We finally did get to me, and thanks everybody for hanging in there as we go through the afternoon.
Financial well-being in the workplace. It's such a powerful topic, and we've done a few pieces on this through the last 12 months, and there's more to come, right? It's so important. Are companies embracing this, or is it a hard one to get through?
I think increasingly we're seeing companies embracing it. So I'm just come off the back of 3 HR leadership conferences. And every employer I spoke to there, without fail, made the comment that they were really concerned about their employees in the current environment. and that they wanted to do something for them to help them build their financial literacy, their skills, and understand. To go to Shane's point, you know, sometimes people don't do something because they're scared of it or they're worried about the cost. What we're doing with the financial wellbeing program that employers can put into a workplace is really giving the people that baseline of knowledge and understanding so that they can take stock of where they are now and then assess where do they need to go next. And that might be to see Shane or Belinda. So this program has been great for that. There's some stats in there that I'll leave you to read later. They make some quite horrifying reading, but there's some really good reasons for why employers might want to consider putting a financial wellbeing program into place as part of their broader employee benefits program. And so that's where we're sitting now.
So important. And when you think about, you know, if you're in, even if you're not in full financial stress, if you're actually in financial chaos, or you've put, you know, you're in financial kind of, you know,
head in the sand,
you know, whatever it might be, if you're putting your head in the sand, it's actually bubbling underneath as a form of anxiety, and any of that anxiety then bubbles up into health, well-being, into the way we are with others, into our ability to lead ourselves, all the things that, you know, right from the beginning where Jessica was talking about our leadership shadow and what are we actually presenting in terms of Vida, in terms of, you know, the work that she's sort of doing with people in terms of, you know, slowing down and being silent and still, and enabling us to actually think about what are all the important elements of our life. And
yeah,
you know,
well, one of the really important things that when we look at some of the research that I've quoted there is, you know, employers are having issues with recruitment, retention, certainly with productivity and absenteeism. And, you know, the cost of that to the Australian workforce was just on $67 billion a year last year. And so what a lot of that research shows is that an underlying cause of a lot of the mental health issues is financial stress. And so again, this program is a way of starting to alleviate that, and becomes a win-win for the employer and the employee.
Yeah, brilliant, great work. It's just incredible the impact you can see that you're having by actually going and working with HR professionals to actually roll out a program that gives access to this at a time when they can do it, you know, and it's at work time, and it makes it so much more easy to access, and it's more likely to be listened to as well. And then they can talk to their colleagues and know that, you know, it's actually okay to ask these questions and learn these things. So well done you, Catherine. And I'm really, that's a great article, and it's a really great reminder. So I'm hoping that as a result of that article, you know, we'll have, you know, organisations actually reach out to Catherine and talk about, find out what they can do, and how Catherine and the team that she's working with Employee Solutions at Insignia Financial, they used to be IWF. They've gone through a few name changes in the time I've known you, Catherine.
Yeah.
But it's great work, and it's good to know that you're actually able to partner with companies. Is there a particular size organisation that you prefer to work with?
Look, we're pretty open. We do find that probably, you know, 50 would be a minimum number, but it's very scalable. A phrase I've used a bit often lately, but it's very apt, is, you know, COVID wasn't good for many things, particularly if you lived in Melbourne. But what it has been good for is that it's made employers more open to webinars. And, you know, that makes it more scalable in terms of cost, ease of access, and all of those things. So, yeah, you can deal with any size business.
And do you find that they could offer it to the employee's partner? So someone at home I suppose if it was a webinar, they could potentially have it recorded and...
Yeah, look, the webinar part of the program's recorded. It's made available for the corporate to put on their intranet. There's digital assets involved in there. There's access to general advice through our financial coaches. We do have a component of the program is the Wealth Report, which is an online interactive questionnaire, for want of a better word, that you build out, and it creates a report, gives you something that you can take home, sit down at the kitchen table and talk with your partner about, or talk to your advisor, or seek advice. whether that's from us at a general advice level or helping you understand that, or the employee understand that they might need some personal advice. We can help with that too.
Fantastic. Thanks, Catherine. And that's the wrap. We have a fantastic Buzz magazine. What an incredible diverse range of articles and knowledge sharing and insights and tips. Fantastic to see the impact that you women in our community who are our leaders are actually making around the nation. It is a phenomenal community. And we wouldn't be able to do any of what we do without our wonderful partners. So Kathy Smith and the team at Catco Enterprises, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Absolutely appreciate and very grateful all the hard work, the effort and the support that you guys put in, not only to the Buzz magazine in terms of producing that this year. You've done that for a few years in a row now, but also for the work that you've been doing in supporting Businesswomen Australia in our digital play over the last 12 months. It's been fantastic. We are very sad to be announcing that Catco won't be continuing as our digital partners going forward, but we've had an incredible run. Kathy's been with us and the team for what, 5 years, 6 years, probably? Yep. 6 long years, Kathy, 7?
Yeah, about 6 years, but don't worry, I won't be going away because Lynn has actually allowed me to become the first life member of BWA. So I still will be very much in the community, but just in a slightly different role. So look forward to meeting those of you I haven't in person. And still being part of the community.
Yeah, as is our co-founder as well. So Jennifer Rose Bryan is also a life member. So thank you very much for your contributions. I mean, these incredible women that give up so much of their time and so much of and their team's time and energy in doing all these wonderful things for us has been absolutely, we are very grateful. Thank you, Kathy. And of course, we thank Anne-Marie Cross, Kathy McKenzie from Fire Up Coaching, of course, Jessica Schubert and the team at Intact Teams, Joe Bradbury, who's probably setting up in Brisbane as we speak for the 3 Drops wine, sumptuous wine splash. Of course, Vida Carlino, thank you so much. The inspiration source that's behind everything that we do in the way that is actually impacts on everything that we do across the board, even outside your cheese and chats. It is actually the work that you've done with us has helped us realize our values and how we behave and how we actually shape the experiences across the nation. So thank you, Vida. And of course, Leanne Jeffries, and in this regard with the Buzz this year, Claudette Pope, thank you so much for the work that you have done in Leanne, making it all come together, chasing up articles, following up with people, making sure everything gets to the Catco team, all the editing work that you've done as well as the editing work that Claudette's done. Well done. It's just been incredible to see such a co-creation with so many people's hands, eyes and hearts involved. And of course, to our contributors, for those of you who are on the line today and those who couldn't make it, we hold them in our heart, and we thank you all for being so generous with your knowledge and so generous sharing your expertise in this way, not only through the Buzz magazine articles, but through our webinars, through our programs, through our experiences that we offer in person and online. If it wasn't for leaders like you stepping up, our funding comes from our members. It's your financial contribution, your time, your knowledge that makes Businesswomen Australia a true co-design organisation. And I really think that we are absolute leaders in showing others how people can actually co-design and collaborate in a true way that are from different industry sectors and professions. So, be proud of what you bring to the table. And I'm forever grateful and honoured to be working with you and calling you my friends. So thank you, everyone. We actually finished half an hour earlier than we had planned. So partly because some of our beautiful contributors couldn't make it. But I'm actually going to stop I will stop the sharing. Make sure you interact on social media. Feel free to share it out there. Do shout outs, tag everyone else that's involved, and really help raise the visibility of Australian leaders across these different professions, industries and sectors who just happen to be female, let's face it. So thank you, everyone.